You never guess what I've been doing. I've only been watching the Woko Ono podcast. Yes, I have. She released it on Spotify, she did. Yes, she did. It was blooming hysterical. Have you seen it? Have you seen it? She was going on about dragons or something or other. I don't know what she was blooming well going on about. Something about stereotyping of East Asian women as dragon ladies or something else. Stupid mare. I mean, it's got to be a joke in it, eh? I thought it was blooming hysterical. She had a couple of Chinese ladies on there that were Chinese ethnically or whatever, but they were American really. So anyway, I must be honest though, I have had to watch it about 6 times. Yes. I think they should call her Mogadon Megan really, shouldn't they? Yes, because she's better than blooming Mogadon. Yes, they should tell the pharmaceutical companies. Well, maybe they should tell the doctors and the new age therapists or something. Yes, when you get people that can't sleep and they're insomniacs or whatever they're called, whatever, you know, them people that can't sleep. Yeah, well, they should just put on one of the Meghan Markle podcasts, shouldn't they, YouTube viewers? Yes, because, well, a couple of minutes in, I'm snoring my bleeding head off, I am, yes. So what I have to do is when I come round again, out of my bleeding, well, self-imposed coma really, YouTube viewers, I have to wind it back and watch it again. So, to be fair, I've watched it about 6 blooming times, yes. It's every shade of bleeding dull, isn't it, really? Yes. It's like listening to a 12-year-old trying to be blooming, pretending to be a doctor or a professor or something, innit, really? So anyway, so that's what I mean. It's got to be a comedy, innit? Yeah, I think she takes after her brother, because her brother's a good comedian, isn't he? He's very funny. So, it's like I've said before, I reckon she's just trying to steal his thunder. Yes, because she come on this week, something or other, I don't know what she was on about, a dragon lady. And I was thinking to myself, dragon lady, what's she going on about? Dragons in the Chinese culture are actually, well, they're very powerful creatures. Yes, they are, and it's something to do with, they've always worshipped the dragon, and the theory of, I mean, they all get themselves in a little dragon and dance around the streets, don't they? Have you seen them? They love it. They love a dragon. They've got every shade of bleeding dragon in their culture, they have. Yes, and in the Chinese culture, dragons are seen as, well, omnipotent and powerful and clever and unique. Yes, they are. That's what they're seen as, yes. They love a blooming dragon, they do. So, actually, in their culture, it's kind of, well, the dragon is seen more of the yang, and the yang is more of masculine, whereas the yin is more sort of feminine, and that refers to sort of feminine, well, attributes really, doesn't it? So the dragon, back in the Chinese history and in their culture, was always seen as masculine, a yang character, a sort of the bringer of power and life and peace and all that sort of good stuff. And they used to believe, because obviously in them days, well, they knew if you've got stagnant water, it's best not drink it. So they used to like running water, so they kind of worship running fresh water. Well, I mean, you would, wouldn't you? What with them not inventing taps and one thing and another. So dragons were seen as the bringer of fresh water and all the good stuff. Yeah, that helps the crops to grow and the rice to grow and one thing and another. Yeah, so yeah, there was a Dowager Empress or something one upon a time back in the day. I mean, hundreds of years ago. I mean, before my time, anyway. Yes, there was. And she was called, what was she called? Empress Zizi, or something like that. Yeah, and on account of the fact that she was one of many wives of the emperor. And I think she started off as a concubine, you know, like you do. So anyway, then she got herself married and she had a kid and one thing and another. And even though he had loads of other kids, she wangled it that her kid was like going to be the next emperor, you know, like these types do. So anyway, when her husband carked it, her kid was still like a child. She become like, well, she was the de facto ruler. She was of China. And because, well, it wasn't really a thing because it's more of a patriarchal society. I mean, most societies were in them days, VTubers. Yes, so they called her the Dragon Lady, you see, because dragons were seen as very powerful and omnipotent and words like that, you see, and the bringer of peace and all things good and wealth and good fortune. And did you know another thing as well? that apparently, right, you know how the Chinese people, we got horoscopes, haven't we? You know, like Cancer and Sagittarius and Leo, one thing and another. Well, in their culture, they've got the year of this, that and the bleeding other. And it's a known fact that in the year of the dragon, more people are born in the year of the dragon in China than in any other of their star signs. Yeah, or some year signs or whatever they are. I mean, take me for instance, yeah? I was born in the year of the pig. I know. It's hard for you to take that in, isn't it? Yeah, I bet you sat there thinking, what a load of bullshit, Gert. You weren't born in the year of the pig at all. Well, I was, and it ain't my bloody fault. Yes, so I'm buggered really, aren't I? Yeah, and my old girl, my old mum, she was born in the year of the dog. Yeah, she was, so there you go. That's it. If you're born in that year, you're going to be like that thing that you're born in, see? That's the way it goes. So anytime the year of the dragon comes up in your China place, over in your China land, in your Asia or whatever it is, I don't know where it is over there. I think it's, if you go down past Africa and you take a bit of a left and you go up a bit, I think it's there. It's sort of around about there, yeah. And in the year, when they know there's a year of a dragon coming, they all get themselves about the place and start procreating. Yeah, they do. Because they think if they've got a child in their family or a relative in their family what is born of the year of the dragon, it will make their family really good fortune. You see? So it's a good thing in China, in Chinese culture. Yeah, and there's another thing as well. Between the, well, there used to be a load of warlords and one thing and another going on in China, and there was the emperor and this, that and the other going on. And then, I don't know when it was, about the turn of the last century, I think they had a little bit of a spat at the end of the last century with, well, I think they had a bit of a spat with America, but we're not going to talk about that here, are we? So anyway, then they started off, they had this nationalist movement where they didn't really have America ruling them and they didn't have no bleeding emperors ruling them. They got rid of their, I think they were called the Qing dynasty. They got rid of them. They thought, no, we ain't having that, fuck that shit, we don't want that no more. And they had a nationalist leader, and his name was Generalissimo K. Shek or something, Shrek, I don't know what his name was. So anyway, he married a member of the elite in China. She was quite a posh, well, she was a well brought up girl, and she was actually sent over to America to, well, to be educated. And then she went back to China and she met this K. Shrek bloke or whatever, who was the leader at the time. He's the de facto ruler of the country, really, except rather than being an emperor, he was a general. And she married him, and she spoke really, really good American, she did, on account of the fact of being educated in America. And her name was Sun Mei Ling, you see, and they used to call her the Dragon Lady. And they called her the Dragon Lady. It was a term of endearment, because she was so clever, and not only that, she actually brokered a peace deal with America of letting Chinese people go into America. Because after the second war that they had, what was it, the first war I think they had a little bit of a spat in about 1882 with America, one thing and another. So they passed this act forbidding any immigrants coming from China to America. And it was because of Sun Mei Ling that the American president dropped it. Yes, in about 1920, I don't know when it was. Anyway, beginning of the last century sometime. Yeah, so that meant that people from China could go over to America. And that's probably how Chinese people in America, well, they're very well off, aren't they? And they're very well educated. And not only that, they have lots and lots of good industries over there that are run by Chinese people. Yeah, and lots of good cuisine as well. And lots of doctors and surgeons and teachers and professors and scientists and one thing and another. Yeah, all come from your East Asian sort of continental place. As I said, if you go left past Africa. Yeah, there. So anyway, that was all down to your Sun Mei Ling. So they used to call her the Dragon Lady. And it was a term of endearment because she was seen as so intellectual and so cultured and so, well, just generally a very intelligent, a very able woman. And she was by the side of the Generalissimo, you see. And then, of course, what happened was, over in the mountains, they had a little faction of these communists, these Marxist communists got themselves together. And they were led by this Mao Zedong sort of bloke. Yeah, I think you might have heard of him. So anyway, he had about 5 wives, I don't know how many he had. And one of them come along, and she was a sort of B or C or D. I'd say, to be nice, she was probably like a C-rate actress. She used to have supporting roles. I don't know who that puts me in mind of, actually. But anyway, she was quite well known for just being a supporting role in some of their Mickey Mouse kind of Chinese, we love communism films. You get me? So she got herself about the place. She got herself married to Mao Zedong. And then when Mao Zedong, he went and he did this cultural revolution and one thing and a bleeding another, didn't he? And, well, he basically threw out all the nationalists and all of a sudden China went communist. So it was all great and everybody was equal and there wasn't any genders or anything. All the men and all the women wore exactly all the same clothes and looked all exactly the same. And Mrs. Mao, who was the actress, she was known as the Dragon Lady as well. Yeah, because she was so powerful. And she had a little gang of four and she was in charge of the culture inside China and the Great Leap Forward and one thing and another. Obviously, I mean, it was a bit unfortunate because I think something like 200 million people were killed. But I mean, you know, change doesn't come, well, does it come from the barrel of a gun? I think somebody said, I'm not quite sure. Something like that, anyway. So anyway, it all went quite well. But they used to call her the Dragon Lady. Yes, they did. And I'll tell you another thing, for the sake of just to put it out there. You know, like that Lockheed Martin, they invented that U-2 bomber. Oh, I don't know what it is. I think it's some sort of aircraft or something. And apparently what it does, it flies around the global globe 24 hours of the day, 7 days a week, 300 and whatever it is days of the year. Yes, 365 days of the year it's flying around the global globe and it does surveillance and national security for the globe. Probably keeping out all the Archons, all the aliens and all those, well, I don't know where they are, but I don't know what it does, but it flies around the globe, yeah? And because it is so powerful and it's so, well, it's just a powerful force of security and this, that and the bleeding other, they named that the Dragon Lady as well. So there you go. U-2 bomber was known as the Dragon Lady. And that's just the thing, isn't it, really? So anyway, oh, Woko, she don't know none of that. She's seen Kill Bill. She's seen the what's his name? Quentin Tarantino, whatever his name is. Quentin Tarantino, whatever his name is, you know, that one that did the Pulp Fiction. Yes, she's seen that film Kill Bill, and now she's got it in her head that something to do with the Dragon Lady, which I don't know what that's about really, because as I say, in Chinese culture, being a dragon or being called Dragon Lady is actually, it's a compliment. Yeah, if you've got a nickname like that over there, it's a bleeding compliment. And I mean, there's another thing as well. If you think of it, as long as women and mother-in-laws have existed in Britain, especially more out of the old musical tradition and the old stand-up comics and back in the day, the old healing movies and one thing and another in Britain, all us women of my age were always called dragons, weren't we? Yes, your mother-in-law was always the old dragon. Yeah, so there's nothing wrong with being a dragon lady. It's quite a good, powerful thing to be. And it brings good luck. And it's sort of, well, it sort of denotes merit and integrity and things like that, and intelligence and power and one thing and a bleeding another. But no, trust old Woko. She's reduced it to something off the bottom of your bleeding shoe. Because she's going on about something to do with a characteristic or something or other. Oh no, not a characteristic, a caricature. I mean, that's stupid. That's like saying, well, Popeye should, well, he should be banned as well because he's a caricature of sailors. I mean, it's just ridiculous, isn't it, really? It's a stereotype, isn't it? That's all it is. And it just makes the world easier, well, for people to grasp ideas and to maybe, I mean, perish the thought, have a laugh now and again. I mean, I know it's banned, especially under the Cultural Revolution. I mean, you couldn't be laughing, could you? You can't say this and you can't say that. You definitely mustn't laugh. Eh? So anyway, so Woko, she's expounded herself about the Dragon Lady. She doesn't like people being racist and using caricatures and characteristics and stereotypes because she doesn't like it. Probably because she knows damn well that that's what people think of her. Because she's a pushy little mare, isn't she, really? We don't really think of her as a dragon, do we? No, we just think of her as, well, not quite a full bleeding ticket. She's probably a couple of sandwiches short of a picnic, isn't she, old Woko? She struggles. I mean, that's her problem. She tries hard, but, I mean, it's just not happening, is it, really? So, anyway, the next thing she treated us to was the fact she got herself naked and went to some spa with her mum or something. Yes! Can you even imagine it? I mean, I'm not being funny. I ain't even seen my mum without her bleeding stockings on, let alone bleeding naked. I mean, it's too much information. Who'd want to see your mother naked, walking around a bleeding spa with loads of old women aged 90? No one wants to see that, do they? Eh? Ain't that child abuse of some description, isn't it? Because she turned around and said, oh, she said, I was so embarrassed. Well, I mean, if you're 11 or something and your mum's making you get naked and walk around the gaff with all these other people what you don't know naked, that sounds like it's on a bleeding spectrum, doesn't it? It sounds like it's just sort of on the scale of, well, getting a bit weird there, doesn't it, really? I mean, it's not something I'd do to my daughter. No, if I had a daughter. Well, I mean, it's just weird, isn't it? Fancy that. Who'd want to see your mother naked? So, there you go. There, well, here, and that Megan's mole, she's a YouTuber, and she showed that actually she's got that story out of a bleeding pre-teen comic or something. Yes, she has. She's got it off a cartoon. Yeah, because, well, the one thing we can always rely on Woko to be is consistent, can't we? Yes, consistently inconsistent. And consistently plagiarising other people's bleeding materials and storylines. That's your old Woko, innit, here? And there's another thing as well. If she wants to know about dragons, someone ought to send that bleeding Barry, you know, old Ginger Barry. They want to send him a DVD. You remember that Disney film? What was it called? DVD? Disney film, How to Train Your Dragon. Yeah, that'd be a good idea as well, wouldn't it? Yeah, send him a copy of that. Yeah, might shut her up for 10 seconds. Anyway, I better get on Vutu viewers. I've probably said enough already, and I. Bye, Vutu. Bye. Bye. Bye.